Thank you. Deputy Secretary, a colleague seemed to insinuate a little earlier that we are sacrificing our Navy for border security. Are we sacrificing our Navy for border security? Is it one or the other?
It is not one or the other. We are investing in both. We have a responsibility at the Department of Defense to support and protect the nation across a range of threats. DHS has the lead, and we are in support on border security, but we support on Homeland, and we're making investments in shipbuilding. Both of these are a priority.
Has the size of the Navy grown under the current administration versus the previous administration?
Yes, the size of the Navy has grown. I think it started on 275. It's up to 290. It's on its way to 306.
While we're also increasing border security.
Correct.
You were CFO at Department of Homeland Security under Tom Ridge. And would you say that 100,000 undocumented people entering our country illegally every month is a threat to our country?
The migration waves that they had saw before they started the construction of the wall in this administration were dwarfing the numbers that we had seen. Even in bipartisan Republicans and Democrats who had worked at Homeland were commenting on the fact, yes, it's a tangible emergency. I went down to the Rio Grande Valley, met with the Border Patrol agents there. Their comment to me with regard to the wall was, it works. They see the manifestation and its effect, and they're very appreciative both for that, as well as for the men and women of the National Guard who have deployed down there and supported them. They refer to them as a game changer.
And even though the illegals and the number of undocumented people that were crossing our border back when you were the CFO was far less, a very bipartisan bill passed known as the Secure Fence Act, which seemed to make a lot of sense to both Democrats and Republicans at the time. Yet, any sort of fencing or border security today seems to catch the wrath of, in a very partisan manner.
Correct. During the previous time, we had significant interest from Congress, bipartisan votes for the Secure Fence Act, expecting the Department of Defense to continue to invest in hundreds of miles of border fencing and barriers along the southwest border.
The American people or anybody with a memory gets very confused over that. So I've got this question for you, please. How does this budget request ensure that the U.S. maintains its competitive edge over China and Russia, particularly in space and cybersecurity?
So this budget does a significant investment in space and cyber. One of the things we have to realize is the emphasis China is placing on technology. They are looking into these two new domains. So one of the things we talk about is everyone used to think of the military fight on the air, land, and sea. You have the Army, Navy, and the Air Force. And what we have seen from our adversaries and rivals is an emphasis on space and cyber as a way to break down our capabilities. The standing up of the Space Force was an essential step in not just increasing the funding, but providing the training, the doctrine, the structure behind understanding what the conflict will look like in space and how to prepare, as was the elevation of Cyber Command. We've invested in both of those. Some of the space stuff is on the classified side, but these have been priority areas for this administration throughout its tenure because of the shift to the new domains and the ability to make sure we can function across all domains.
Excellent. The president recently signed the Afghanistani peace deal, which will phase down troops in Afghanistan, as you know, after 2 decades of strong U.S. presence. How much will this peace process and perhaps other drawdowns save the Department of Defense? The administration targeted diplomatic reforms that will help to strengthen certain areas and all the while drawing down in the Middle East and areas where we feel we no longer need that presence. What sort of savings can you anticipate?
So it depends on how far the process goes. I think that what we've seen is what we have going on is the best path to a lasting peace in Afghanistan is a negotiated political settlement among the Afghans. This makes that possible. If that continues to go well, we're headed down to 8,600. We could go further below that if this goes further. There are potentially billions of dollars worth of savings that we would achieve through reduced need for operations, reduced need for presence. That all depends on and how this plays out properly. And we're using a condition-based process, but this administration has put an emphasis on being able to emphasize and reprioritize to the China front and to Russia, and these are supportive of that vision.
Thank you, Chairman. I yield.
Gentlemen.